Annyeong Buzz! Welcome back to the channel. Today we've got something really exciting to talk about. And if you're a Karet or even just someone who casually follows K-pop, you're going to love this one. Because 17's special unit, S.Coups and Mingyu, have just dropped a highlight medley for their very first mini-album, Hype Vibes. And honestly, the buzz around this release is already insane. So, here's the rundown. On the 22nd, Pledis Entertainment uploaded a highlight medley video on 17's official social media. The video runs about 3 minutes and 15 seconds, but wow, it packs in so much. It teases all the songs from the album, and it even gives us glimpses of the lyrics. And let me tell you, fans are already dissecting every second of it. Of course, the track that's drawing the biggest attention is the title song, 543, Pretty Woman. Now, if that sounds familiar, you're not wrong. It's sampling from Roy Orbison's legendary Oh Pretty Woman. And honestly, I think this is such a bold move. Taking an iconic Western classic and blending it with their own style, that's risky but also potentially genius. Some people will probably debate whether it's respectful or too daring, but that's the beauty of music. It gets people talking. The lyrics we got to hear are also pretty straightforward and refreshing. Lines like, "She's on fire and so spicy" might sound simple, but they're so direct. They don't try to overcomplicate things, they just express raw attraction. And in a way, that honesty feels refreshing compared to some of the more metaphor-heavy lyrics we usually get in K-pop. Do you guys like that straightforward vibe? Or do you prefer when lyrics feel a bit more poetic? I'm curious where you stand on that. Now let's talk about the other tracks on Hype Vibes. Because this isn't just a one-note album. The highlight medley really shows how diverse the sound is going to be. Fiesta is one that caught my attention immediately. It's got this hip-hop bass, but then suddenly a contrasting flute sound comes in. That kind of mix can either feel chaotic or really fresh. And knowing 17's track record with experimenting, I'm leaning toward fresh. Then there's Worth It, which is loaded with 808 bass and synth lines. It's all about that powerful energy of a relationship that feels like it's in its own universe. I love when songs play into that idea of a world that only two people can understand. It's romantic, but in a bold, electrifying way. And honestly, I think Mingyu's deep tone is gonna shine on this one. His voice layered over heavy bass? Yes, please. We also got a taste of For You, which brings the energy down a little. It's described as an easy listening pop track, which I think is smart. You don't want an album that's only high energy from start to finish. It needs that breathing room. That one felt warm and almost sentimental in the short snippet we heard. Young Again takes things in another direction with a rock influence. That's something I didn't expect, but it's actually really exciting. Rock and K-pop has been making a quiet comeback, and it feels like more groups are testing the waters with that sound. I could see this track becoming a fan favorite, especially in concerts where live instruments and rock energy hit differently. And then there's Earth. This one's an EDM track, and it's interesting because it feels like they're covering every base. Hip-hop, pop, rock, EDM, it's like they're making a playlist that fits different moods throughout the day. Which actually makes sense, because if you watch the highlight medley visuals, you'll notice it flows almost like a day in the life. There's a morning jog, a drive in the middle of the day, a sunset swim, and then a late night party. That organic composition is no accident. It's telling a story, not just through the songs, but also through the visuals. And that's what I think sets 17 apart. They're not just dropping random tracks and stitching them together. They're thinking about how this whole mini album feels like a journey. It's something you could put on from start to finish without skipping because it mirrors real-life moments. I actually love that concept, music as a soundtrack to your day. What do you guys think? Do you like albums that tell a story, or do you prefer when it's just a mix of bangers without a theme tying them together? Also, let's not forget the timing of this. Hype Vibes is dropping on the 29th at 6 p.m., and to celebrate, there's even going to be a pop-up event at iPark Mall in Yongsan, starting on the 30th. That's huge. Pop-ups aren't just about promoting the album. They're about creating a physical space where fans can immerse themselves in the world of the artists. I've seen pictures from other 17 pop-ups before, and they're usually packed with details, interactive spots, and exclusive merch. So if you're in Seoul, that's definitely something you don't want to miss. But here's something I want to ask you guys. Do you think subunits like this are important for groups like 17? Personally, I do. With 13 members, not everyone can shine in the same way during group comebacks. Units like S.Coups x Mingyu allow them to experiment, to highlight different dynamics, and to bring out colors we might not see in the full group. For example, the leader and the visual pairing Up, it's such an interesting combo. They're balancing leadership with star power, and I think that says a lot about how Pledis is managing 17 right now. So when I watched the highlight medley, my first thought was, wow, this doesn't just feel like a side project, it feels like a main event. And honestly, that excites me. And speaking of excitement, let's talk about the expectations for the title track, 5, 4, 3, Pretty Woman. The second I heard that little snippet, I could already picture how it might blow up on social media. Think about it. Sampling a global classic like Oh, Pretty Woman makes it instantly recognizable, even for people who don't normally listen to K-pop. That's a smart strategy because it bridges audiences. Longtime fans will love it, but casual listeners might stumble across it and think, wait, I know that melody. And boom, they're hooked. But I also know this kind of thing sparks debate. Some will say it's brilliant, others will argue that classics should be left untouched. For me personally, I think reinterpretation is what keeps music alive. If every artist avoided touching older songs out of fear, we'd miss out on so many fresh takes. Music evolves when it's passed down, reshaped, and reimagined. So I'm all in on this decision. But what about you? Do you think sampling a legendary Western track is a bold move or a risky one? Let's also think about how S.Coups and Mingyu's chemistry plays into this. S.Coups is known for his charisma and leadership. He has that commanding presence. Mingyu, on the other hand, brings this natural charm, both visually and vocally. Together, they balance each other. One brings strength, the other brings smoothness. It's like mixing fire and water, and somehow it just works. I actually think this unit could surprise people with how well their dynamic translates into a mini album. And this isn't just about the music, it's about timing. S.Coups had some tough breaks before, especially with health concerns. Seeing him step back into the spotlight like this, with Mingyu by his side, feels almost symbolic. It's like he's saying, I'm here, I'm strong, and I've got new stories to tell. That's powerful. And as fans, it feels good to see him in a place where he can enjoy creating music again. Now, I want to zoom out a little. 17 is a group that's always been known for self-producing, for being creative powerhouses. So when subunits drop projects like this, it's not just filler content, it's part of their DNA. They're constantly experimenting, pushing boundaries, and making sure each member has space to shine. And honestly, that's why they've lasted so long at the top. They don't rely on just one formula. They keep reinventing. And I think Hype Vibes is a perfect example of that reinvention. The fact that they're covering so many genres in one mini album, hip-hop, pop, rock, EDM, tells me they're not afraid of versatility. Some groups play it safe, sticking to one sound that works. But 17, they're not just making an album, they're making an experience. Now here's something that really stood out to me. The way the highlight medley was structured, with visuals of jogging, driving, swimming, partying, it's almost like they're saying, this album is for your everyday life. That's genius marketing, because it positions the music not as something you only listen to when you're in a specific mood, but as a soundtrack for everything. Imagine playing Fiesta on your way to class, for you, on a lazy evening, Young Again when you're hyped up with friends, and Earth when you're out at night. It's lifestyle music, not just fan music, and that's how you broaden your audience. And now let's talk about the pop-up event. It's happening in Seoul at iPark Mall starting on the 30th. Pop-ups have become such a fun trend in K-pop. Fans get to step inside the world of the album. There's usually themed rooms, exclusive photo zones, and of course merch. I think it's really clever, because in the digital age, experiences are what make memories stick. Buying an album online is cool, but walking through an immersive space where you can feel the hype vibes concept in 3D? That's unforgettable. If any of you are planning to go, please share your experiences. I'd love to hear how it compares to the medley's vibe. Before I wrap up, I want to touch on one more thing. This unit debut feels like more than just a project. It feels like 17 is planting seeds for the future. When members branch out into subunits, it doesn't just give them freedom, it also keeps the group fresh in the long run. Fans don't get tired, because there's always something new. And if Hype Vibes is successful, who knows? Maybe we'll see more unexpected pairings in the future. What if we got a Woozy x DK unit? Or Joshua x Vernon? The possibilities are endless. So what's my prediction? I think this album is going to perform really well, not just in Korea, but internationally. The blend of genres, the bold sampling of a Western classic, and the charisma of S.Coups and Mingyu, it's got all the ingredients to make waves. But beyond charts and sales, I think the real win here is how fans are going to connect to it emotionally. Music that mirrors daily life has a way of sticking with people, because it becomes part of their routine. And that's how you build legacy. Not just hits, but memories. Now I really want to hear from you. Do you think 543 Pretty Woman will be a global hit, or will it stir more controversy than hype? Are you excited about the diverse track list, or do you think it might be too much variety in one album? And which unit combo would you love to see next from 17? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because I know this is going to spark some passionate debates. Alright, Buzz family, that's all for today's deep dive into S.Coups and Mingyu's Hype Vibes. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss when we cover the full release on the 29th. Until then, keep the hype alive, and I'll see you in the next one.